Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. So Tesla have announced the following. Tesla has suspended vehicle purchases using Bitcoin. We are concerned about rapidly increasing use of fossil fuels for Bitcoin mining and transactions, especially coal, which has the worst emissions of any fuel. Cryptocurrency is a good idea on many levels, and we believe it has a promising future. But this cannot come at a great cost to the environment. Tesla will not be selling any Bitcoin, and we intend to use it for transactions as soon as mining transitions to more sustainable energy. We're also looking at other cryptocurrencies that use under 1% of Bitcoin's energy transaction. I find this a very strange thing to say. Zachary Kirkhorn, who literally holds the title of Master of Coin, is a financial genius. He has a full understanding of money and currencies along with cryptocurrencies. Therefore, he must be fully aware that this statement is fallacious. I think Elon must understand enough also. Bitcoin miners can only make a profit if energy is cheap. Therefore, Bitcoin mining is literally a game of finding cheap energy. When the grid has excess energy, then it becomes much cheaper at wholesale prices. This is when Bitcoin miners start mining. This also makes Bitcoin miners some of the world's foremost advocates for abundant and inexpensive sources like wind, hydro, and solar, and renewable energy is becoming cheaper to produce by the year. They aren't using the likes of peaker plants just to cover the extra Bitcoin mining. That's not how it works. It's the perfect tool to consume excess or stranded energy from the grid. It in no way means there needs to be any extra coal power plants to serve the mining. If you want to compare it to its tangible equivalent, aka gold, then gold mining each year consumed even more energy than Bitcoin, and that doesn't even take into fact all the transportation costs associated with gold, because gold is so incredibly heavy it requires a lot of energy and cost to transport too. Even printing fiat currencies costs more than mining Bitcoin, but when you compare it to all the costs associated with banking, then the cost of Bitcoin mining is negligible. So moving over to a global cryptocurrency like Bitcoin will save such an incredible amount of energy anyway. Just think about all the buildings alone that banks have in all the major cities and the cost of running them. Then transporting all the fiat currencies around the world, all the data centers to store all the records of transactions. In other words, Bitcoin can remove all of this energy, and it consumes a fraction of the amount of energy, and only when there is an excess amount, whereas the likes of banks need energy to run at peak times. So perhaps if the entire world moves over to Bitcoin as a currency, then we consume perhaps 5% of the amount of energy now, saving 95%. Again, excess energy anyway. And now Tesla is saying, well, 5% isn't good enough. We want 0.05% as much. We would still be using 1/20th of what it was previously. That's a big enough difference. It would be better if Tesla actually spent these efforts on getting their own energy business sorted, as that would have much more of an impact. The problem isn't energy consumption, it's dirty energy generation. This is all just a distraction. I'm even in agreement with ARK and their research on Bitcoin energy consumption. So why have Tesla said this? Is this another way to convince people to buy Dogecoin? Well, no. Dogecoin is also based on proof of work, or POW, same as Bitcoin. And if Dogecoin scaled, it would have the same problem that Bitcoin has. Instead of proof of work, there's also proof of stake. Proof of work requires huge amounts of energy, with miners needing to sell their coins to ultimately foot the bill. Proof of stake, or POS, gives mining power based on the percentage of coins held by a miner, which uses less energy. But someone needs to discover a way of making it as secure as POW, if not more secure. Now, this is what Ethereum 2.0 is meant to be, which is partly why people are so excited about it. But it's totally moot, as it's not a decentralized currency. It's at the control of the founder, Vitalik Buterin, who is an unethical dictator that would control the entire money supply if Ethereum became the global currency. This is why Bitcoin is so beautiful. No one controls it. It's totally decentralized. All other cryptos are just glorified digital fiat currencies. I seriously hope Tesla don't announce that they've purchased a large stake in Ethereum. Bitcoin is more like gold, if no one could take your gold from you, which the US government did with Executive Order 6102, when Franklin D. Roosevelt took every American's gold off them, and it was an imprisonable offense to own any gold. Then, even when the US dollar was backed by gold, although in theory it was great, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard in 1971. In my opinion, one of the largest thefts in the history of mankind. Also, the fact it's just so difficult to transport gold anywhere, as it's so heavy and bulky. Like in the Great Earthquake in San Francisco in 1906, it took too long to transport gold from New York to San Francisco by boat, resulting in a huge US depression. Incidentally, the entire city was on fire because insurance companies didn't insure against earthquakes, but homeowners were insured against fires, so everyone set fire to their houses. Bitcoin can be transferred anywhere around the world in minimal time at negligible cost. The other issue with gold is simply it's not fungible, which means it's difficult, for example, to use a bar of gold to pay for your groceries. How to break off just enough gold to pay for the exact amount of groceries. Bitcoin can be broken down to 100 millionth of a coin, which makes it fungible. Tesla say they're researching other cryptos to be accepted by them as payment, with the reason being they want to find one that is more green. If they suddenly decided to accept another form of payment, then obviously that crypto would go through the roof, or to the moon, just like Dogecoin. Which leads us to believe perhaps Tesla are trying to create their own crypto. Elon has been testing his influence on crypto with Dogecoin lately, as a joke, with memes, and he's done similar tests with Bitcoin. He hasn't literally endorsed any crypto yet, although he does admit they are slightly better than fiat currencies. But now, if he actually did endorse a crypto, he knows that it wouldn't take much effort to create a valuation of around $100 billion likely, and in a very short period of time. Tesla are in the process of decentralizing energy and transport, which is one of the things I love most about the company, taking the power and wealth from the oil industry. The Middle East control about half the world. If Tesla do create their own crypto, then I just hope it's decentralized like Bitcoin. But then all they might have done is create a better mousetrap. They don't need to be doing this. I'd much rather they concentrated on making more green energy than trying to stop a fraction more energy consumption, and which is, like I keep saying, excess energy from the grid anyway. If it's not decentralized, then to be honest, it's kind of scary. Look, I'm one of Elon's biggest fans. I think what he's achieved is just mind-blowing. But if he controls transport, energy, and money, then that's frightening. No one should have that much power. But if it's done in a decentralized way, so that literally no one can have that much power, then I'm all for it. But like I said, Bitcoin has already achieved that. What changed Elon's mind? Only a few weeks ago, he was in agreement with Jack Dorsey of Square, a huge supporter of Bitcoin. What has happened since then? Could it simply be how influential Elon has realized he is in controlling global currency? Usually with what's going on in Tesla, I can draw some inferences as to why they do what they do in a way that makes sense. But this time, I'm actually at a loss. I'm also disappointed. Decentralization of currencies means a lot to me. I'm very anti-fiat currency. I don't like how governments can simply print more money for themselves. This was not the intended purpose of governments. One of the greatest economic minds, Milton Friedman, said government should be a referee, not an active player. But Tesla do say that they've only suspended Bitcoin, not stopped permanently, and that it's the mining that needs to transition to a more sustainable energy. Is it possible maybe Tesla will set up their own solar and battery farm solely for Bitcoin? I guess we can only sit and watch to see how all this unfolds and what Tesla are playing at here. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.